Hi, this is Carrie Brownstein.
This is DJ Premier.
This is Darren Aronofsky.
You got the RZA right here.
Rose McGowan.
Radiohead.
Aisha Tyler.
Tribe Called Quest. Fred Armisen.
Fritz Paul.
Javier Munoz. Seth Meyers.
Frankie Cosmos.
Flying Lotus.
Hi, we're Chaim, and you're listening to the Talkhouse Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Talkhouse Podcast. I'm Josh Modell. On this week's episode, we've got a pair of electronic music duos whose histories, as you'll hear, are intimately intertwined. The Knocks and Sofi Tukker. The Knocks, consisting of James Patterson and Ben Ruttner, just released their third album, and it's once again dance floor ready and heavy on the collaborations with indie icons. It's called History, and it's their first since 2018's New York Narcotic, which featured the massive Foster the People collaboration Ride or Die. The guys used the extra time granted them by the pandemic to refocus and make history exactly what they wanted it, and it shows. The album includes guest spots from Cold War Kids, Cannons, and another jam with Foster the People. Check out a little bit of Slow Song, which features Dragonette.
Stare at the ceiling, I can feel you trying doors I'd opened up before. But I'm the one with all the keys, and I'm the one who's walking around here like I own the joints. To shake it off, baby. And as long as you stay intoxicated, I'll keep beating your heart until I break it. Because you can take it, I'm gonna go crazy, baby. I'ma play you.
Now, speaking of features and collaborations, the Knocks have worked with Sophie Tukker, the duo consisting of Sophie Holly-Weld and Tucker Halpern, a bunch over the years. And as you'll hear in this conversation, Sophie Tukker might not even be a chart-topping outfit at all without the help and influence of James and Ben. Together, they scored a big hit with Best Friend, though if you only know one Sophie Tukker song, it's probably the massive Drinky. But the duo has a brand new record out with the provocative title Wet Tennis, and they're about to embark on a massive tour that includes 2 huge California shows with the Knocks opening as special guests. Check out a little bit of Khaki from Wet Tennis.
Não sou de lá, não sou daqui, só caqui. Não sou Sophie, não sou Sophie, só caqui. Não vou a pé, não vou de trem, nem de táxi, vou de caqui. Não vou a pé, não vou de trem, nem de táxi, vou de caqui.
In this conversation, these four talk about their shared history in New York, right down to a specific building that the Beastie Boys used to own. They talk about the old days playing college shows and the new days playing the massive Greek theater. And you'll hear them graciously compliment each other on their latest songs. It's a regular love fest. Enjoy.
What has changed for you guys since playing fucking independent for 200 or whatever people to now going to Greek? What's like before shows? What's the new ritual?
Oh man,
I see you guys like doing fucking push-ups and shit.
Well, I don't know if you've know this, but I herniated a disc very recently. So now I'm literally like everything is gonna change. So
we're having like a physiotherapist on tour with us.
Oh my God.
There's literally I don't think there's any other way for me to do it. Unfortunately, I'm like I don't know.
Wait, so tell what happened to your disc? I missed this. I didn't see that. I feel like you're always getting injured.
I know I am always getting injured. I mean, I just like really enjoy working out a lot, but I also don't know what I'm doing. So I kind of just like go really hard without much guidance.
You got to be careful.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen again. That's why we're bringing a physiotherapist on tour so that she can actually watch me and be like, what are you doing?
Oh, so you injured yourself exercising?
Yeah, I actually think I injured myself because I was working out with Richie and I was doing his workouts and...
Too crazy.
Sophie's just not a professional hockey player.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, reckless behavior.
What even is the disc in your back?
Yeah, it's in my low back and
damn.
it's like slipped and so it's just like hitting a nerve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But anyway, so I don't know what my pre-show thing is going to be yet because it'll depend on what my physiotherapist is like cool with me doing.
But what it normally is
I mean, whatever you do.
Like an hour before the show, I guess an hour and a half now sometimes. Sophie starts her vocal warm-ups, usually an hour and a half before, which are like horrifying. And then an hour, we start working out, play some music, often have some knocks in there. And then, always. And then we get like fully sweaty and ready to go so that we can kind of come out without having to like warm up the first couple songs, so you can just out of the cannon.
Smart.
And honestly, we're getting to the age where we need to like warm up and warm down, and I ice after every show. It's like the old basketball days.
Getting to the age.
Age. That was what? You always had to do that.
I literally iced when I was 12.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know what you're talking about. Whole life.
Speaking of, J-Pad has been hitting the courts lately.
I've been hooping hard, real hard.
Anyone who doesn't know, J-Pat and I both have a real history of basketball.
Ballers unite.
Have you played each other?
We played once in Boston, and I was like couldn't even move. It was embarrassing.
That's the time I think about. I remember that you guys we stayed at my parents' house.
We tore him up.
And I think you just like tagged along for like we had a college gig or something. And you just came with us.
I used to just come.
That's what she said?
Yeah. And you always come to like the wackest college shows. It would be like 4 people.
Oh my God, those college tours.
This is before we ever toured.
we even had a band, really. I remember, I think I showed you Drinky in the car with Andy and us three
probably.
Driving up to like Cornell or something.
Is that the show when we had people storm the stage and we got in trouble?
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, and they tried to sue us. So we had a show, and we had like at the end of the show during Dancing with the DJ, we used to always like ask fans to like come up on stage and dance. And we did it at Cornell, and it broke the stage.
Whole stage fucked up.
Like something like collapsed, and then
they were tight.
It was like at the time it was like kind of fine, and they kind of brush it off, and they were just like stop, whatever. Show was over. And then a week later, they tried to like sue us and try to ask for money off of our fucking fee because we broke their stage. I was like, it's Cornell. Like, how much money does this freaking college
also,
have?
like, invest in a good stage, Cornell.
Yeah. Also, like, you're Ivy League or whatever. Get your fucking stage right.
I remember that. We went out, we hit the frat parties afterwards.
Oh yeah. Wait, there's one thing I remember from that though, is some girl that we were talking to that kept saying ambient. Remember? She listens to ambient music.
I do remember that girl.
I may have made out with her.
I was gonna leave that out, but I'm glad you kept that in.
I wasn't gonna say it.
I was 1 year out of college. It was fun.
Tucker wasn't trying to get out of college. He's trying to stay in forever.
Van Wilder.
Yeah, those were the days. We for anyone that doesn't know, the way we met Tucker was at a college show at his college at Brown, where I guess you were like the local support to anyone that they would book to DJ, basically, right? You'd like open for everyone that came through.
Yeah. I was kind of part of the squad that would book the shows too.
Right. Yeah, you were like involved.
It was like my friend group, and then we would all kind of pitch in to throw the parties and then book me to open for whoever. We did one, I think, before you guys with Gold Room. And then we did that one. I think I opened before Giraffage once, like some random,
just hype machine as hell.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was like all the big dope hype machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Hype machine was the thing.
At what venue?
At Coliseum.
When drinking first came out, hype machine was like still a thing, right?
Yeah. We've been in some interviews and people are like, so what does it feel like to be one of the last groups to have blown up off Hype Machine? And we were like, whoa.
The other day, I was looking for like our remix of your song or something. And then I just remembered like there was that period when Drinky came out and you guys had like a million remixes of it. And it would be like number one on Hype Machine. Like every other week, there'd be a new remix of Drinky.
I remixed Drinky. It never came out.
Yeah, we all did. Like everyone that makes music remixed Drinky.
Culture did it twice.
I actually played my remix of Drinky at some random party I was DJing last week, and it went off.
It goes off. The song that never stops.
People just recognize that vocal.
I love it.
That's fire.
Yeah. Back to the story though, J-Pat got fully robbed.
Yeah, that was the best show ever until a motherfucker literally took my whole
J-Pat
life.
got all his shit stolen from backstage.
In Providence?
And it was like such a bummer because it was such a fun show and the vibes were so high. And I think we were all like, a little like out of our head a little bit on things and like feeling good. And the next thing you know is like, oh, J-Pat's bag with all his shit and his passport has been stolen.
Everything. All of it. And then we bopped around
went to this like after club.
Yeah, you went to like the club looking
to see if someone
was in the Justin Martin
after
show.
Party. Yes.
And then remember we saw Justin Martin getting like dragged in and out of his set because he was way too faded.
Is this in Providence?
Yes, at Therapy. The after. It's just like the only place allowed to be open after 4 or something because they didn't sell alcohol. It was like a scary place.
And we're there looking for my fucking backpack.
for his literal laptop, and it was like all the like music they were working on. And this is the first night I met them, and I was basically like hosting them, trying to like show them a good time. I was a huge fan and, you know, wanted to kick it, and I just felt so bad.
Did you?
All these people backstage that were super like everyone was just like passing out drugs, and it was like messed up and just like too loose. I remember being like, this is extra loose. Like I've been to some shows, but this was like the backstage was just like open season.
Whole night stressed out.
My bag was under the DJ table. I remember it was under the
That's where
DJ
it was
table.
the whole time.
And
Someone
but the
took it.
DJ table was like eye level or whatever. So like people at the front could just like reach up onto the stage, and a motherfucker reached under the table and snagged my backpack.
In the story of how we met, this never comes up.
And then we all went to Miami together and kicked in. This was before Tucker knew Sophie.
Yeah.
And I remember you were making like, you were already on the like trying to do like the Euro. You had like a bunch of edits of 2000s Euros songs, which was like a side project of. You had like 3 different things. You're like, I want to make house, but I also want to make these like fun edits of like 2000s trance pop songs. Which I was like, all right, that's cool, I guess. But then it's funny how you met Sophie, and like, I remember you played us the Sophie stuff. I was like, this is the vibe. This is what you should chase. Get her to fucking move to New York. This should be the thing. And then I feel like you combined both the vibes though, because you guys kind of started making more like Euro poppy type stuff, and it like really like it totally makes sense now.
Totally. I
You're
remember,
like our godfather.
Yeah. No, I mean, we tell this story all the time, and it's like, yeah, I was making some like very mediocre remixes, house music, kind of like wannabe Chami, and then I loved Chami.
You loved Chami. It was everything.
My DJ sets were only Chami.
It was literally all Chami.
My man
and then
was
we went to
living
the Chami,
for Chami.
We went to the Chami show at Winter Music, and it was like you were at a Justin Bieber concert or something. You were like so psyched.
Wait, we actually saw Chami at the airport.
We saw him at the airport, and I panicked.
Did you fan?
Did
you fan out?
I panicked.
Was he wearing his priest thing?
Yeah,
still?
full priest.
Stop, he wasn't.
In the airport?
I swear he was. This was like 5 years. This was like right when we started touring, and like he definitely didn't know who we were or anything, and I was shook. He also is like 6'6". He's a big dude.
Also, how are you allowed to just wear that? Can anyone just wear like a priest thing?
He probably got on the plane like early boarding.
Yeah, like the plane starts going down, everyone's like praying to him and shit. He's like, no, I just make future bass.
Save us, Shami.
Yeah, save us.
He was
He's like
the savior.
Back then.
That was a real era. That summer, it was like Shami and Kygo were like the 2 biggest things in the world that summer when we met you and we went to Winter Music.
Mm-hmm.
SoundCloud Kygo. God damn.
I don't think I ever did Winter Music again after that. I was like, that's like.
Yeah, that was my last one.
I invited Ben and J-Pat, and I was like, yo, we got this big house, come stay with us. Obviously, we had like 20 people in like a 3-bedroom house.
I also definitely felt like when you invited us, I was like, oh, he probably thinks we're not going to take him up on this, but we're going to go.
We pulled up so
No,
hard.
no, are you kidding? I was like fully going, hoping that would happen because you just kind of took me around. I would just
we got into all this stuff. Yeah,
remember we were ripping those scooters around?
Yes. That was the beginning of my love for scooters, which has continued, by the way.
I got me a little e-scooter. I got me a little e-scooter here. I be getting around.
Do you?
Yeah.
Let's go. Yesterday, I went out and got a 1987 Tomos moped. Like one of those old, like, you know, the old, like, Honda joints?
Like the Japanese ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Just went out and copped it.
I just scooped it. I was like... I need to be outside more. I hate walking.
Just be careful on that thing. Don't take it across the Williamsburg Bridge. I'll tell you that.
We already did.
No.
Okay,
you
don't
did last
do it.
night.
I might have once. But I have a giant helmet. I mean, it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
I'm not trying to get too dark, but we have a friend that got killed literally doing that. So
No.
he stalled out, and then it was like, you know, there's no like lanes on the Williamsburg Bridge. It's crazy.
Well, I don't go on the street. I go in the bike lane.
Oh, you're on the bike lane. Okay, well that's.
It's like a fucking like peddler, guys.
Oh, you're that guy on the moped in the bike path.
I'm not out here with the cars. I'm solid. I'm solid.
Yeah, cool. I'm
Damn.
glad. Anyway.
You know me. Not a big risk guy. Not a huge risk guy.
Yo, how does it feel to have your second album out in the world?
Congrats.
Thank you. Also, congrats. History
Thank
is
you.
so good, by the way. We've been waiting to like chat about it.
We've
till-
literally just been
till we were
listening to
on
it
this. So then we
nonstop.
like had stuff to chat about because I didn't want to talk about the album with you and then get on this and have nothing.
Right, and then
say.
have to re-talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys had #1 album on the dance charts. We have #1 on electronic. We're just holding it down right now.
How
Let's
crazy
go.
is
Squaw.
That's so cool.
Squaw,
It's really
turn up,
crazy.
squaw.
Also, I was really excited to hear the Powers track. Like hearing Powers and Knocks together, it was just like
I know.
very nostalgic.
That was a lot of pressure in that session. We're like, fuck, how do we like make another song? It's like we got big shoes to fill. But I feel like it became like the weird like answer to classic. It's like we're grown ups now. We're gonna make a song about being older.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
love
that
it.
one. Yeah. Thank you.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's very,
thank you.
it's very like
Thank you.
mature.
Yeah, the whole album though, I feel like how with the name History, and then it really hits on so many like specific genres from the history of dance music, kind of. And it feels like so nostalgic throughout, which has always kind of been your sound, but like I think there's so many huge songs on this album.
Thanks, man.
Like seriously love it. Also, who's singing on Boombox?
Oh, it's the guy from Coin, that band Coin.
We were like, is that
it
J-Pat?
can't be J-Pat.
Somebody
It
else asked
doesn't-
me that today. They were like, is Boombox you with like a weird filter on your voice? I was like, no.
It's just because it doesn't say it, so we were like, what?
Yeah, it was like it's something to do with their label or his band or something. But yeah, they're dope.
Fun fact, I sang a version.
I believe it.
That's, no, it's not tight.
I bet it's tight.
I mean, your voice is amazing. I love your voice in the Odessa track too.
Thank
Oh
you.
yeah.
Hey,
Congrats on that,
well,
too.
Your guys' album is fucking great, and I feel like it's like we're all like growing up and getting this like maturity to all our sound. I feel like, and on the New York, you shouted us out, which was fucking cool.
Preach.
Obviously, I mean, you guys are New York to us, so.
Well, how did that song come about? Like the sample, like was the idea to flip the sample first?
The sample came very, very, very last. Like
yeah, we had the
Wow,
song
interesting.
first, and like it didn't have.
we had a guitar hook.
It didn't have a good hook,
Yeah.
and then we realized the content was like our version of A Day in the Life in New York, which was obviously what the original Tom's Diner was about.
Yeah.
And it felt like a cool homage
Homage
to that. We used real drums, which totally is like exciting to us. We've just literally never done that. It's
Right.
always been like 909s, basically.
Right.
I've been listening to a lot of like drum and bass. And the like
He's also been making a lot of drum and bass.
Oh, wow.
Hello.
Next
Hello.
Sophie
It's a side
Tukker
project
album?
happening.
But like the drums in that, I mean, obviously often it's not like real drum samples, but I think specifically with Summer in New York, it's almost like we wanted the track to feel like New York, and there's like a rawness to New York that I feel like clean like house music drums, it doesn't feel New York.
Right.
But it felt New York with like the real drums, which totally reminds me more of you guys.
That's why I
doing
liked it.
that,
I feel like flipping that sample, there would be such an obvious way to do it, of making it like this really big, dumb EDM thing where it's boom, boom.
Totally.
There's a lot of people like resampling stuff from certain eras right now and just like throwing a kick drum under it. And I feel like this is way more thought out and cooler. And the way that it arrives is cool. Like you don't know the sample's coming almost. You know what I mean?
I actually went by Christie Street the other day, like just like stood in front of the studio, the old studio, and took a picture. I have to send it to you.
That's what that Knox studio used to be when we wrote like
Yeah.
Soft Animals and a lot of
Yeah.
our early stuff when we were all
55.
kicking it there.
Yeah, and 55. That's what our first song was named after. And I don't know if you guys watched that fucking the WeWork documentary, but they talk about
Yeah.
the building. They mentioned
Yeah.
it. You notice? He literally says
Yeah.
55 Christie Street.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
he
that's
says it
creepy.
because the guy sold the building to him. But that building had crazy history because it was originally owned by the Beastie Boys. Which is cool.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember
crazy.
my first time walking into the studio, like Tuck and I weren't even friends really at the time. He had just somehow convinced me to move to New York. And I was just like, I don't...
Because Ben told me
Because
to.
of you. And so I was like,
It's very convincing.
completely, I mean,
Both of us are pretty convincing.
both of
So
you
it was
are
like
wildly
he did it to me, then I did it to her.
Ben's
And then I was
gotten
like,
mad people to
in
move to New York.
I'm like, okay, I don't really know this guy that well, but like, okay, like, I'm going to go to the studio. And I walk into the studio and I just remember being, I think there were like 6 of your homies there too. And it was just like all dudes. I am so intimidated right
you
now.
You sat on the floor, which was like your comfort zone. I feel like that's like always your
sure.
go-to. Yeah, you like laid down.
And it's like big dudes too. I feel like it was like Luke and Drake and like big dudes.
Yeah, story of my
God.
life, hanging out with a bunch of 6-foot tall dudes.
I feel like it felt like family relatively quickly, but like at the very beginning, I was intimidated as fuck.
Well, it doesn't help that room is like literally was like 20 square feet with a low ceiling and like a little box with no windows, and we're all squeezed in there in the summer. And then Sophie, you moved like right around the corner, right? In that weird Chinatown building.
The weirdest.
Is that the one?
The weirdest.
Wait, were you in the dentist building, the one that Drake lived in for a while?
I lived with like 6 other people. There was one dude who lived there. I never met him. I would just hear him late at night, and it was such a creepy thing to like never have met my roommate. And then there was one dude, I'm not even kidding you, he walked into my room at night one night while I was sleeping. Yes, because he was drunk.
Can't do that. Can't do that.
Was unbelievably horrifying. And then,
Do you think he just went in the wrong room, or was he trying to get it popping?
no, I woke up and I was like, what the fuck? Get out of my room. My dad came to visit and he was just like, what are you doing?
What have you gotten yourself
Life?
into, child?
That's always the vibe when you first move to New York and your parents come visit. They're just like, oh, they're so worried for you.
My goodness.
Same.
Yeah, that was insane.
Also, Tucker, want to acknowledge you singing more.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to the vocals. So I think you got something wrong with you.
Dude, that song. Oh yeah, let's talk about that song. That song is fucking amazing, and it's
So
killing
fucking
it.
fire.
I see it everywhere. I see it's on the dance charts. I see you. No, can we talk about that? Is like the catchiest hook. Like I like wake up in the middle of the night singing it.
When I was remixing it, it was like the only song on my brain. Also, thank you for allowing me to remix it. It was
Are you
very
kidding?
fun to do.
Any song ever. You guys are our favorite producers ever.
Hey, what? How did that song come about? Tell the story about that one. Sophie, did you write
Stuck in my head
that
again.
ridiculous melody? Was that you?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I always have to give like super credit to like, you know how we work in the studio where like
Right.
anything that I do, like Tucker's like more of that, less of that, more of that,
Right.
less of that, you know?
Well, that's what I wonder
So it's
with
always-
Tucker doing vocals. Like, how does it work? Like, do you guys, like, is it ever like you cut a vocal or Tucker cuts a vocal, then you sing his, vice versa? You know what I mean? Like, do you try each other's parts sometimes and see who sounds better doing it?
It's sort of like the same way we've always done most of it, which is kind of just like figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
And like
Right.
sometimes Sophie will be singing a part or making a melody or writing lyrics, and then she'll sing it, and then we'll realize maybe it's kind of a weird like key for her, but we don't want to change the key to the song, and then it fits my voice
Right.
well. Or like maybe, you know, we'll be like, oh, this actually is cooler, like low, you know, singy. I don't know. It totally just
Or
like
there are
depends.
songs where I'm like, I literally cannot say this. Tucker, you have to say this because I'm going to sound like a
I like that answer.
loser.
That's actually totally true.
Like
That's
sometimes,
so funny.
like in Woof, which we actually didn't have on the album. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I have something, but I can't say it.
Did you write that?
Yeah.
I thought I wrote that.
What is it? You got to say it now. Let the people
Gotta
know.
say
It was like you, hey, I see you trying to climb in my sunroof.
I have to say it.
And then it goes, I guess it's a good thing I'm waterproof. No, I think I wrote that.
I mean, it certainly sounds like you wrote it, but I actually wrote it.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to take credit for that one?
No, I don't.
Take credit for it. I think like half of the time we have no idea who wrote what. And now it is really fun because we can really play with his voice also in a way that we didn't before.
You guys really compliment each other because Sophie's so kind of light and airy, and then it's like this like booming fucking. It reminds me, and I mean this in the most best way, in the way that yeah.
Yes.
No! No!
Yes,
Like, but like a modern, like
no.
cooler version of Aqua. I think when I met you, you had a Barbie girl edit in the stash for sure, or at least
I
some.
have a new one, actually.
He's not kidding at all.
No, I did. I redid it in the
I know.
pandemic. It's fine. I'll send it to you. Here.
Please.
Yeah. But what Sophie never realized, but my master plan this whole time was to slowly become like Aqua Venga Boys, and she just didn't notice.
Yeah,
He's so manipulative.
She just didn't realize. Like all of a sudden, some of the songs are like 140 and BPM, and she didn't notice.
Well, that's also funny because when we met you, Sophie, like you were not a dance music person. Like you listened to like all like bossa nova music and like a lot of like old school shit. Like, I don't know. I feel like what's that been like being all of a sudden like an EDM queen when you like weren't at all into dance music before?
Yeah,
Like,
I actually really do like it.
Do you go home and
now?
do you go home and listen to like do you like do your homework now and like go listen to a lot of dance music?
I don't have homework anymore, first of all.
Hey,
Thank goodness.
Got him.
But I listen to dance music when I'm working out. And as you know, I love working out. Mm-hmm. And then I listen at home. I still listen to like music largely without drums. Like,
yeah, no, totally. I'm the same way. I listen to ambient.
Yeah, I listen to like Nils Fromm most of the time.
Damn. I like go to sleep to techno still.
I know.
Yeah.
I know you do. I like the whole spectrum of things. But you know what? I also, speaking of manipulating into liking other genres, like...
It's not manipulating. It's just sharing good music.
Can we talk about the Brazilian
expanding
Soul
horizons.
acoustic, which is like... Really?
Oh my God!
What a great idea, Ben!
I know that really has gone and done its thing. It's like one of our top songs still. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
Same. The number of people who come up to us and are like, "Oh my God!"
It's just so funny because it's so far from either of our genres of music, and it's like for a while it was like on our top 3, and I was like, it was like if someone went and listened to the Knocks right now, they'd be like, "What the fuck?" Or like the fact that it comes up and the artwork is like that like pen and pixel like gangster artwork, and it's like this beautiful.
That's the craziest part. That's the craziest part about the whole.
It's like
song.
a story of our career is like confusing the shit out of people. It's just like all we've ever done. It's been like, oh, here you can have this, but we're gonna really make it confusing to understand what it is. I didn't tell you, but the next Knocks album is all bossa nova records.
Yes.
To confuse them even more.
Have you guys like actually thought about the next chapter of like music, or are you not even thinking about that yet?
Yeah, we've thought about it a lot. We have a lot of songs
that we did not
that
put
were
on the album.
that were like still in progress. They weren't done yet. That we're still working on.
Yeah.
That we feel really good about. But I mean, it's one of those things. I know you guys feel this, but you make songs. You think it's the best song in the world, obviously, and then some of them like last, and some of them they just aren't.
For me, it's like about how often I go back and listen to it. And like, it's funny how, and I think for us making history was like, funny when you said making history, it sounds so fucking like for making our album, for making our album, I think the reason it came out a little more cohesive maybe than the past, or just like, is that we had so much time. Like we started it before the pandemic and we made a point to not rush it. And I think at this point I've started trusting just my gut so much more when it comes to like picking songs. Like at a moment in our career, we might have been like, oh, this song is great. Like it's big, like it feels like it's a big record, but like maybe I wouldn't go listen to it. Or if my homies were in the car, I wouldn't want to throw it on because I feel like a little weird about it. But like, that's like the ultimate test for me now is like, do I go listen to it on my own, like naturally? Yeah. And do I cringe if I play it in a room with my friends? I've realized that so many times I hadn't played records that I was working on for people that might be like cool music people, because I'd be like, oh, like they're not gonna like this, but I know it's big in like the grand scheme of music, but they don't get it. You know what I mean? But like now I'm like, fuck that. It was a serious change in the past like 3 years, I feel like. Being able to sit with stuff, like you're saying, like if it passed the test of time and then you think it's the best thing, no matter what, you leave a session, you think what you made is probably somewhat good. And then like within 48 hours, you're like, wait, this is trash.
Do you have songs that you like deeply regret putting out?
Yeah, definitely.
Because honestly, no, I mean, I think we have a couple.
I think everyone does. I think for us was probably that EP that we did. That was like when we were on the Bieber tour, and it like we kind of had to rush it out, and it felt very weird. Trouble was on it, which was like my favorite. I still love Trouble. Yeah. But the rest of it was like that's when we were kind of having like identity crisis. We had just like switched management, and we thought we could like have more radio thing. I don't know. It just felt like a weird moment for us.
If it really caught on or something, it would have seemed like a genius move.
And there's still fans that show up asking for songs like that, and we never play them. They're like, you never play something. Like, sorry, bro, we don't want to play.
Yeah, but if you got people asking for us to like play Feeling Good, you wouldn't Like, even if that song had done well, you wouldn't feel amazing about it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I mean, there's definitely something to be said about loving what you make. Like,
Yeah.
no question. Like, we all go out there all year and we perform it and we stand by it, and it sort of represents us as like people and artists in a way, as much as, you know, you sort of want to. But I think the more you love the shit you're making, you know, like the more it can connect or at least feel like authentic. And I know
definitely the more it comes across in your performance of it. Like if you go out there and perform a song that you fucking love, as opposed to a song that you're like, about.
Totally.
And for us, it's also become a thing where like we're such producers at heart. Like we never really thought we'd be like on stage as like artists. We always wanted to just produce for other people, and like kind of fell into this whole thing. And I think now we also are good at being like, you know what, this is a great record, but like it's not a Knox song. Like I think it used to be like, oh, we'd make this big record, whether it's like that song Heat or whatever, which is like arguably I think still to this day could have been a hit record if it was like a Chainsmokers song. But like for the Knox, no one wanted that to hear. I mean, it's still defined, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's like now we're actually making a point where like, if we have like the Odessa record is a great example. We've been sitting on that for like 6 years. The whole thing was basically made.
I remember.
And and I was like, are we going to make sure I make it a Holiday 87 song? So it's like kind of weirder. And it doesn't really feel like it's not funky at all. It's not like a Knox record. And I was going to put it out as a solo thing. And then I was like, let me send it to these guys. And it just like worked out, and it makes total sense for them. And I did the same thing with the record for Teed recently, like his next single I worked on. And like, it was like going to be maybe for us, but not really. And I feel like now we have a much better judgment of like what it's not. It used to just be like, oh, this is a big song, we need to make it for us. Cause we were like, it was almost like greedy and like trying to think it was going to help us. But at the end of the day, which I respect about you guys, is I feel like you guys have really stuck to your sound so well. And we're all over the place with sounds, but I feel like recently we've made a point to be like, oh wait, we're producers. Like we can make records for other people.
It's like there's a difference between like evolution and
departure.
Like
you don't want to
and departure.
Forever.
Yeah. Like if we went in and tried to remake Drinky every time, I think that would be a mistake.
Yeah.
And a lot of artists do that. And that kind of bores me when like an artist starts putting out this. It's just like everything sounds exact.
I think it's helped us a lot because we have Sophie's voice. So like even when and now a little bit of my voice, even when it, even maybe the music or like genre is a little like it's a little different. Or like we had a couple not four on the floor songs, which me was painful.
Right. Yeah.
and now I've been doing a lot more of it. Just growing up, evolution. But like that. It still has Sophie's vocals, or it still has the guitar, and there's still signifiers that I think people can tell, like, oh, that sounds like Sophie Tukker or something, which I do think is important. But also, I think with history, I think you kind of hit exactly like what you guys at the core of the Knocks are known for, but like elevated. Like
that's kind of our goal.
Like, it's more back to like just collaborating with vocalists and like that come from a world that's not dance music was always our thing. We never wanted to feature like the same vocalist that's on every dance record ever. Like someone like Muna, I don't think Muna will ever do another feature. I don't think they'll ever will. You know what I mean? There's like certain people that we kind of luck out with getting these features with and stuff.
Yeah.
I love the Cannons one.
Cannons is
that
fire.
Was really great.
Well, then there's Donna Missal. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. In the past couple of years, like all of a sudden Doja Cat and all these people are making these like poppy disco records, which is kind of like our bread and butter. And for a while we were kind of like felt like we were like, oh, we got to switch it up. And then we were like, you know what, let's just like go back to what we're good at.
Yeah. I mean, I always think of you when I hear those tracks. I'm always like, it's exactly what they were doing.
I mean, the amount of texts we got when that Dua Lipa record came out, like, did you produce this Dua Lipa song? It's like, no, that's just we're not the only ones to make it like dancey disco. Yeah. But yeah.
You are the OGs at it for sure. And I think everyone recognizes that though. I do think with the rise of that in pop music, I think what came along with that too is sort of like unspoken respect to the people who were doing it for a while beforehand, which I think you guys are like the main ones. It is cool because there's definitely no one else that's doing like, these are such big like alt nation artists, all these features. And I feel like, and obviously Foster the People, who you had a gigantic like alt nation super hit with, it just like makes sense, and it is cool because it's different. I just don't think that many people like bridge those two worlds like that.
I mean, coming from someone that you guys had a fucking, together we had a radio, you had like a full international smash. Did you feel like pressure after that? Like to like be like, fuck, we need another one of those kind of thing?
You mean
or did
after
you not really
Best
care?
Friend?
After Best Friend.
After
yeah.
Best Friend.
Like, did that affect you at all? You didn't really care.
I mean, it definitely elevated certain things. Like, I think it was a good growth spurt. More people knew who we were.
Yeah.
More than that, more people knew the song. And then we had to like tour our balls off to try to show who we are. Not that,
Right.
like what song. I mean, so many people still think I sing the Yo, You Wanna Meet Me at the Bar part, which is J-Pat. And legendary.
Actually, I think that's still the recording that you sent on a voice
From my laptop.
Because we
It
tried
is.
like another like more proper recording, but it just didn't have
is
that like
so
raw.
Didn't bang.
It did.
Top 40 off the laptop. You don't need nice equipment.
18 on pop radio. That's crazy.
insane. That's still so crazy.
So
we were
wild.
like doing TRL. That feels like a weird fever dream that whole like couple weeks. Is this tour you guys are doing going to be the first? Like you haven't debuted the new show yet, right? With the new production and everything.
No,
No.
we're gonna be very us about it and turn it into like a competition. So every night is a competition between me and Tucker.
The
That's
tree is
amazing.
now turned into a giant scoreboard, so I'll like play the drums on like
Nice.
a big scoreboard, and then like I think
Nice.
we'll have
Scoreboard.
ways of like seeing who wins each night, and like you'll never know who's gonna win. So like
Oh, so you're gonna have a score.
Whoever's
for
got
both
the
of
best
you?
moves.
we're gonna
Oh my
have
God, that's
score.
amazing.
So like whoever's more on that night will win, which is kind of fun.
It'll be interesting to see how our competitive sides show up because Tucker's like very overtly competitive, whereas I'm like slyly like secretly competitive.
Tucker
So we're
dunking.
playing the Greek and the Shrine with these guys. If people don't know that,
June like 17th or something.
Yeah, it's like
they're
16,
they're back.
18,
Oh no, they're like a
17,
day apart, right?
San Francisco and LA. That's going to feel so good. We were so excited when we heard there's a potential that we would all
Yeah,
get
that's
to
awesome.
be playing there. It's just going to feel so good.
I'm glad we waited this
No.
long to not play a show together until it's the Greek. That's like pretty epic.
It'll be the biggest one on this tour, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like
And-
6,000 people or something.
9,000.
Thanks for having us.
9,000? Holy shit!
Really?
Holy,
The Greek?
holy.
8,500.
Okay,
Oh
I'm
no,
gonna
yeah,
double check
the
because
shrine.
Tucker's
The
the
shrine
king
is like
of
6, I think.
exaggeration.
But we moved
go
the shrine
PRP.
outside because shrine sold out a while ago. So there's like they can fit like 7,500 or something outside at shrine.
That's gonna be crazy.
I don't know, but these are all going to be like our biggest shows in these markets, and it's going to feel really good to do with you guys. I'm also glad they're towards the end.
You never want to start with those shows. That's the worst.
I know. We're playing Mirage.
That's your opening show?
No, but it's like the
Oh.
third or fourth night of tour.
Yeah, we
And
always make
have
a
you
point to start in like Arizona or something. Like
I
somewhere.
know. Well,
random.
we're doing a place where we've all been many times. We're doing 9:30 a couple times
Oh,
to
that's
start
great.
it off.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're wrapping up soon, but I did just want to say if anyone is listening or tuned in or just doesn't know the history that we have with Ben and Jay, it's like as close to family and as close to
Deep.
sort of like starting this shit together. I mean, they were already a big thing when we met, but it was, I looked up to them like they were fucking, that was it. And it was such a dream of mine to be in their shoes and to be in that position. And they really took me under their wing and just like let me be around and let me learn.
We love y'all.
No, I say it a lot, but we couldn't be more grateful, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
There's no question that we wouldn't be a band at all.
It's crazy.
If it wasn't for you.
it's
No,
crazy.
stop.
We're
No
super
question.
proud. We're super proud of y'all.
I mean, I love it because everyone like still like when I have homies that like maybe they don't listen to much of either of our music, but when they see you guys do well, they hit me. I'm like, yo, it's just like I feel like everyone knows we're such close buddies, which is cool. And I feel like we're just like we all win. You know, it's fun to watch everyone do this cool shit, and watching you guys go around the world has been amazing. Well, this was a nice chat. Thanks for having
Love
us.
it. Yeah, we love you guys.
Okay, we'll see you like tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to the Talkhouse Podcast, and thanks to Sophie, Tucker, Ben, and James for chatting. If you like what you heard, please follow Talkhouse on your favorite social channels and podcasting platforms. This episode was produced by Myron Kaplan, and the Talkhouse theme is composed and performed by The Range. See you next time.